Hey guys, my name is Lily and today I want to make a video about the best bow that you can get as a beginner. And don't get me wrong, there are many really good bows out there, but there's one that I can recommend in particular. So for this video today I have ordered the trusty and well-known ceramic sage. Let's check out what's in the content of this box and why I think that this is maybe the best bow for beginners, but also for people who are advanced shooters. So the thing that happened to me was when I started bow and arrow shooting is that I bought one bow, I shot it for a couple of years, then I bought the next one, and then I bought a couple of more, and I always thought, no, this is not as good as the old one that I had. So sometimes you don't need something better, something really expensive. I know people, they run around with 2,000 euro bows. It's not a joke. So as long as the bow shoots accurate, you don't need to spend a lot of money in order to gain accuracy. So today I want to show you this bow here, which is by the company Samick, and Samick makes really good bows. They are South Koreans and they know their stuff because they are really good archers. I'm not affiliated with the Samick company, unfortunately. I would love them as my sponsor, but I'm not. So I bought this bow with my own money, and now let's go and check it out. And actually I went ahead and I bought 3 different sets of limbs. These ones are 30 pounds, 35 and 40. Now 40 is the legal limit of hunting in Canada. So if you're in Canada, you need at least 40 pounds. But for starting, so if you're a beginner, I would not start with this weight because it's really like heavy. And I would start with 30 pounds for men. So if you're like a woman, I would even start lower with 25 pounds. And that's because if you start too strong, then your form won't be that great. So first you have to perfection your form, and that's only possible if you use a bow which is not too heavy. So you want to use a bow which has a light draw weight, and this way you can first internalize the form, and then later on you work your way up to 35 and to 40 and to even more poundage if you are that strong. Okay, so these are the limbs. And one of those limbs, they cost only 45 euros, so it's really cheap. And here we have it. This is the Samick Sage Riser, and it's beautiful. Look at this wood, it's really beautiful. You have some dark gray at the back and at the front, and then also some wooden color in between. And it's also laminated, which makes it really strong. And this bow will not break easily. Okay, now also what I really like about the riser is that it's a proper riser with all kinds of mounting holes. Here, for example, you can mount a arrow rest. Then also here you can mount some sights if you want to. And then here at this hole you can add a stabilizer or a hand loop or both. So you have a lot of options, because a lot of bows, they don't have these mounting holes, and then you can only shoot them bare. Now my favorite way is to shoot them bare, but I know many people who want to have an arrow rest or some sights or something else on the bow, and this bow gives you the option. So now let's put on the arrow limbs with 35 pounds, because this is the draw weight that I'm shooting right now. Now I can tell you right away that some of the screws are going to be rusting. It's going to be these black ones, and also the hole here, and this screw or hole is also going to rust. So what you want to do is you want to take some polystyrene and spray all of the holes. Okay, next you want to take some copper paste and you want to smear it into the hole here. This is important, so in case your bow gets wet, which can happen, that the screws are not rusting, because otherwise you won't get out the screws anymore and then you cannot take down the bow. That would really suck. So make sure you use a little bit of this copper paste, and I really swear on that, with copper paste you won't get any rust. So the limb that has specs on it, the name and the bow length and also the pounds, this is usually put onto the downward side of the bow. Now I take one of the bolts and screw it in. And the great thing is that you can screw in this bow, the limbs, without using any hex key. So that's a big plus for when it comes to survival. Because in a survival situation you might lose your hex key and then you cannot take down the bow. That would really suck. So this kind of bolt, this one here, this is worth gold for a survival situation. And in terms of survival, that's a big plus. Alright, so I have screwed down the limb. Now let's check if we have some play, which is important. So the bow has a minimal amount of play, which is almost nothing. And if you have some play, you want to correct that. And honestly, this is not a big mistake, because most bows have a play. The problem is with the play that if the limb moves, then the bow is going to make a sound while shooting. And for survival bow, you want to have a bow which is silent, of course. Now to reduce the play, I always take some sort of clothing. Here I have some, this is some plastic clothing. This won't rot if it's getting wet. It's really thin, so I will try to use this for inside of here. But first we need to cut out the right shape. So everything that sticks out at the side here you can cut away with an X-Acto knife. Okay. So this is it for this side. Next thing what I want to add is some kind of leather here. Because if you take a carbon arrow and if you let it glide over wood like this, it's going to make the sound, and that's the sound you will hear when you draw the bow. And it's a little bit loud, it's not too loud, but it really sucks, honestly. So if you glue some leather into here, then you will reduce the sound. Now you can also glue some leather at the window, at the side, but I would wait with that, because first you have to shoot the bow, and if it's shooting straight, I would not add something to the side here, because otherwise the arrow will get a kick to the side. So make sure that first you shoot the bow a couple of times, and then you can decide if you want to add a thin strip of layer here. So now I want to glue on a piece of leather onto the shelf, and this is what you have to do before you set the knock point, because if you raise the shelf, you also have to raise the knock point. Okay, so I have custom fitted this piece of leather to the shelf of the bow, and now I'm going to use some super glue to glue it down. And make sure you use enough of it, because if you are shooting like arrows, it can be that this edge will lift up with the time. So make sure that you glue down all of the edges, especially the one at front. Alright. Alright guys, so if you leave the bow like this, it's going to make a little bit of sound, and the sound will come from the bowstring clinging onto the limb every time you're taking a shot. So it's going to make a sound like this, and you're going to hear it. And to dampen that sound, you can take a simple piece of Velcro, which is about 8.5 centimeters long and 2 centimeters wide. And you want to take this piece and you want to glue it on right underneath this notch here. This is where you hang in the bowstring, right? And right underneath this piece of Velcro starts. Okay? And then you take some super glue and we glue it on the limb. Okay, so now we have successfully glued on the Velcro. And also I would like you to know that the Semix Sage was not the only hunting bow that was produced by the company Semic. So what I have here is my personal bow, and this is the Semic SHT. It's almost identical to the Semix Sage. It just has darker wood and the riser is a little bit longer, like 1 inch or so. So this is the bow that I've shot for the last 12 years. And I've always come back to this bow because it's the most accurate. The limbs are a little bit different at the Semic SHT, but all in all, it's pretty much the same bow. I would love to recommend this bow. The thing is that this bow is not in production anymore, so the Semic Sage is the only bow that you can get from now. Now the reason why I'm shooting this bow here is because it's a little bit shorter. It only has 60 inches in length. This one has 62 inches. And I think 60 inches fits me better. But accuracy-wise, both of these bows, they are pretty much the same. But if you are a man with longer hands, then I would definitely recommend that you take the Semix Sage. Yeah, before we can string the bow, I also want to put on some fur for the string silencers, and usually I take my ruler and I set them like right here at about 14 centimeters from the end. So I just untwist the string, open it up, and now I take my fur, I stick it through like this, and then I just lock in the fur, and now I wrap around the string silencer like this. So we are going down the string now towards the middle. Okay, now I'm coming to an end, and here I open up the string again. I separate the brown from the black, and this is where I put through the end of the string silencer, and then I just lock this in again. And this is how you can put on your string silencer without losing it. Okay, so now I'm at my favorite bow range, and now I want to show you how to properly string this bow. I take the loop of the bowstring, put it around the limb, which is on bottom. Then I take my bowstringer, and here I have the small cap, and I put it right over the end where I have used the bowstring already. And now I take this loop and put it around the other limb. Okay, now I want to check my brace height, and it's far too low, so it should be around here. I always shoot my bows with 20.5 centimeters, which is 8 inches and 1/8. So this is my desired brace height. So now I got to twist the bowstring to make it shorter. Okay, now it's time to set a knock point. Push it down all the way to the shelf. And usually I set my knock point really high. If it's too high, I can always take off the knock point again and reset it. Okay, and now that the bow is strung, we can apply some wax to the bowstring, and this wax will increase the longevity of the bowstring, and if you unstring the bow, it will keep it together. It's not untwisting that much, so it's always good if you use some wax on your bowstring. And this wax here is beeswax, but you can also get other oil-based waxes. I just like to keep it natural, and this is why I'm using beeswax. Okay, I haven't shot a bow for 1 month because I didn't have the time, so now it's the first time that I'm shooting this bow, and also it's the first time in a month that I shot any other bow. Let's see how it works out. So it's always good if you start at a very close distance and then you work your way farther away, because that's the best way to learn how to shoot a bow, and also it's the best way to adjust to a new bow. All of these arrows are deadly, but I have to say it's also easy to shoot big game at shorter distances. So with smaller, like with a squirrel, I only would have hit 2 out of 5 arrows. So it's easier to shoot bigger animals, bigger game than small game. That's pretty self-explaining why. And I gotta say, this bow shoots exactly the same as my other bow, the Semic SHT, so it's super accurate. Yeah guys, so this is the Semic Sage takedown bow, hunting recurve. I gotta say, for 100 euros, which is now $100, it's amazing. It's amazing, it's accurate, it's cheap, it's high quality. The riser is high quality, it's laminated wood. Usually if you buy other cheaper products from China, you will get one-piece risers which are not laminated, so they are not going to be as strong as this riser. So it's perfect. It's a perfect survival bow. You don't need hex keys to get off the limbs, and it's super silent, super robust. Also, fiberglass is an old technology. It's super sturdy, super strong. You will not rip this off easily, but it's a little bit slower than carbon limbs. Now, I can completely understand if somebody says they want carbon limbs because of the speed of the arrow. I have to say that for me, for myself, I've learned how to shoot bows on bows like these with slower limbs. And that's why I am used to it. So I don't want to relearn another bow now. And actually I have to say that once I tried a carbon bow, it was great, but I was always too high because I'm not used to such high arrow speeds. So carbon is another thing that you have to think about if you want to start bow and arrow shooting. But I think fiberglass is just fine and super sturdy. Alright, so I will try to find this bow on Amazon. I cannot guarantee it, but yeah, I think it's one of the best bows. And it's not only for beginners, but also for advanced shooters. You don't have to switch out this bow, you can shoot it forever. And that's because it's really accurate. And also what I've observed is that the limbs, if you string the bow correctly, they will stay like this the entire lifetime of the bow. So I've shot my bow for over 10 years now. I think it's 13 years, I'm not sure. And with my limbs, they are always straight. With other bows, I have observed that sometimes the limbs are twisting. So fiberglass is the way to go, sturdy limbs is the way to go, and especially the company Semic makes really good products. Alright, so I really want to thank you for watching. It's never too late to start bow and arrow shooting. It's a great sport and great hobby. So if you're interested in bows and arrows, this is a bow that I can highly recommend.